Elizabeth Taylor, the violet-eyed queen of Hollywood's golden age. Her beauty was so mesmerizing, even cameras struggled to do it justice. But beneath the shimmer of diamonds and the spectacle of 8 marriages lay a scandal so explosive it nearly ended her career and turned America's darling into its most despised woman. What she did in 1958 would make her a tabloid obsession for years. But the truth behind it all was far more complex than the world ever knew. By 1958, Elizabeth Taylor seemed untouchable. At just 26, she had already conquered Hollywood, from her breakout in National Velvet to her Oscar-nominated performance in Giant. Her marriage to producer Mike Todd was passionate, glamorous, and real, the first time she'd found stability amid the chaos of fame. They'd just welcomed a daughter, Liza, and for once Elizabeth felt a kind of peace she'd never known before. Then tragedy struck. On March 22, 1958, Mike Todd's private plane went down over New Mexico, killing everyone aboard. Elizabeth had been scheduled to fly with him, but at the last moment she stayed home with a cold, a twist of fate that saved her life but left her shattered. Overcome with guilt, she could barely stand at his funeral, sedated and surrounded by the relentless glare of press cameras. The world watched in awe and pity as Hollywood's most radiant woman was reduced to a figure of grief and despair. That's when Eddie Fisher appeared, Mike Todd's best friend, America's favorite crooner, and the husband of none other than Debbie Reynolds, the girl next door everyone adored. Eddie stepped in to comfort Elizabeth, to help her through her grief, but late-night visits turned into whispered confessions, and comfort soon became something deeper. Consumed by pain and loneliness, Elizabeth reached for him, and he didn't pull away. When news of their affair broke in September 1958, it hit Hollywood like an earthquake. Eddie left Debbie and their 2 young children for Elizabeth, and the public outrage was instant and brutal. Debbie became the innocent victim. Elizabeth was cast as the villain, the seductress who'd destroyed a perfect marriage. She was branded the other woman, the husband stealer, the homewrecker. Death threats flooded in. The Vatican publicly condemned her. Dozens of U.S. congressmen even petitioned to have her banned from the country. Outside theaters, protesters waved signs mocking her movies, calling her immoral. Her once golden career teetered on the edge of collapse. But the story the public didn't hear was far less black and white. Debbie and Eddie's marriage had already been faltering long before Elizabeth entered the picture. Eddie's infidelities were well known in Hollywood, quietly swept under the rug to maintain the illusion of the perfect all-American couple. The truth was, Elizabeth hadn't destroyed a fairy tale, she'd walked into the ruins of one. Still, she refused to bow to shame. When MGM punished her by forcing her into Butterfield 8-8, casting her as a high-priced escort, she poured every ounce of heartbreak and fury into that role. The result? A performance so raw it won her the 1961 Oscar for Best Actress, though she once admitted it was Hollywood's way of saying sorry after she nearly died from pneumonia during filming. Her marriage to Eddie Fisher didn't last. Within 5 years, history repeated itself. While filming Cleopatra in Rome, Elizabeth fell for her co-star Richard Burton, leaving Eddie behind just as she'd once left Debbie. But this time, the affair was even more consuming, more chaotic. Elizabeth and Burton became Hollywood's most volatile couple, marrying, divorcing, remarrying, and divorcing again, their love story as epic as it was destructive. In 1966, fate brought reconciliation. Elizabeth and Debbie ran into each other on a cruise ship and made peace. Debbie admitted she'd misdirected her anger, that Eddie had never been worth the heartbreak. But by then, Elizabeth's image was set in stone, the woman who lived, loved, and took whatever she wanted, regardless of the fallout. Elizabeth Taylor never apologized for her choices. She once said, "I've been through it all, baby. I'm Mother Courage." And she meant it. She survived the pressures of child stardom, 8 marriages, near-death experiences, and the full wrath of public judgment. She lost the love of her life in a fiery crash and was crucified for trying to heal her pain. Yet she never stopped loving, never stopped living, never stopped fighting. When she passed away in 2011, Elizabeth Taylor left behind more than a legacy of beauty and scandal. She left a message that even America's sweetheart has the right to be flawed, human, and unapologetically real.